Just one. Oh. On it. Go top. Over top.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of our Major League Rugby draft preview shows, and this time we're going to hop to the front row, talk about the loose head and tight head props. Before we get into that, thanks to our sponsors, US Rugby Foundation, supporting grassroots rugby around the country, and also Irish Rugby Tours, which takes teams on tours. You can be a high school team, youth team, club, college team, whatever. You can go all over the world, not just Ireland, and they'll take you there. Next Phase Rugby, which connects collegiate rugby programs with high school student athletes to help those student athletes find the right college for them and the right rugby program for them. nextphaserugby.com. And then Panther Rugby Academy, which helps people get to those college opportunities by offering them elite playing opportunities. So thank you to all of them. Hey everybody, Alex Goff here with yet another episode of our Major League Rugby draft previews, and this time we've gone, last time we did front row, go all the way back to the other part of the field, so wings and fullbacks. And the reason we're bringing those together is actually, it's a little bit odd. There are a lot of wings and fullbacks who have declared for the draft. That's fine. The chances of you being drafted, and I know one year there was a wing drafted number 1, it's fine. Chances of you being drafted in the first round as a wing or fullback are low. It can happen, it's low. Chances of you being drafted, because there are so many of them, are low. There are some players I look in there and I think I would like to direct you to high-level 7s. I think that would be your pathway to being a professional rugby player. But I will try to highlight some. We've had some tweeners as well, like we can talk about Aiden Ridgway, who was a scrum half who they made play full fly half and actually did so well under kicks that I think, yeah, actually pretty good in terms of a fullback. We'll talk about a few. Thanks to our sponsors, Next Phase Rugby, connecting college rugby players with college rugby programs and helping them use rugby to further their education. We also want to thank Panther Rugby Academy, that helps young rugby players become better through high-level competition and coaching. Irish Rugby Tours, which helps young rugby players become better by going to play somewhere else for a tour and just experience different aspects of rugby. And then US Rugby Foundation, who helps young rugby players become better with scholarships and support for new teams and growing youth and high school teams. So thanks a lot, and yeah, if you can, donate to US Rugby Foundation. All right, and as with all the other shows, we're going to look at some players, but we're not going to look at everybody for a number of reasons. But we're going to just pick out some people and talk about them, and we'll go from there. Kyrie Poole from Nazareth, big fan of his, really great guy, fun to be around, elusive, exciting, thrilling, 7s. I think he's going to be a great 7s player. If he is a successful professional wing, he's not very tall. He's got to be super strong, super physically strong. So we'll see that. Elijah Thomas out of St. Thomas in Florida, who is at MLR Rising. A lot of potential there. As a player, he's actually pretty good musician, by the way, as well. So he's a bit of a renaissance man. Smart guy and a great teammate. He hasn't played at a level that really challenges him, and especially challenges him physically. So I rated some players on a number of things, including like their carries. Carrying into contact, that was something that I don't think he'd been hit that hard that regularly, maybe ever. And he kept coming, but it's a lesson he has to learn. Also on the wing, Jake Negrete, St. Mary's. I got to tell you, now I mentioned this, I'm not talking much about highlight videos. A lot of players are not doing highlight videos. Highlight videos aren't very useful. Jake Negrete's is probably one of the best I've ever seen, just because he actually shows himself playing defense. He actually shows himself handling kicks. He actually shows multifaceted aspects of his play, and not just him breaking through and running for 70 meters. Shows himself passing, and not just passing, but the guy actually catching the pass, and his support work. All of these things he showed. I really was. I almost sent him a message just saying this was one of the best videos I've ever seen. Really good one to check out. Hopefully I might have a clip or two during this video. But a good, very smart player out of a very good, very smart program, national championship program in St. Mary's, so Jake Negreed. And finally, for the people who are listed as wing, Ashanti Staples. Now Staples' numbers for the Bronco, for the 40, for the 10 meter, which the 40 and 10, he didn't run at MLR Rising, but he ran at PR7s. So I talked to him about that, and we took those times. He was just nursing a little bit of a hamstring thing, and he just didn't want to blow it out running the 40. Totally understand. But his times there, and then his vertical leap, just about the best in almost all of those. I think his Bronco wasn't the best. It was a 9 out of 10. There were players who got a 10 out of 10, but it was a 9 out of 10. His, and that's what I rated. I basically said if you were in the top echelon, you got 10. If you were very close to that top echelon, I gave you a 9.5. But if you were, you sort of saw a group that were pretty close, and then there was a gap, and I'd give them a 9, and then we'd go down. So rather than just say the time. So I gave him, for his 10 meter and his 40 meter, a 10. Gave him for his Bronco a 9, and then slightly different with the vertical leap, because I was able to do just sort of a mathematical thing and I think divide by 3, so we got a 10.3, which was pretty much the best. So numbers, fantastic. Not super big, but powerful. Can handle himself pretty well. What I found very interesting about Staples was he requested to play fullback in the MLR Rising game, and he was lined up at fullback until there was an injury that required a whole musical chairs thing in the back line for the Reds, and that put him at outside center. He still played well, and then they put him at wing later in the game, but I think he wanted to play fullback because he wanted to show that he can kick and that he can catch kicks. I think that just shows sort of mentally where he is as a player. I think that's a good sign. Championship player on a championship team, Notre Dame College, a guy who scores clutch tries. So Ashanti Staples, a big fan, I guess. At fullback, I'm going to talk about 4 guys. Joe Ham at Syracuse, probably a dominant player for Syracuse in Liberty D1AA. Take that for what you will. Haven't seen him play against at the higher level. It's a bigger jump. It is a big jump, so we'll see. But I think he's a good player. That's definitely somebody who probably, I would say, go play for White Plains or Old Blue or something like that and move your way through. Jerron Panter, Life University. He's a guy who just has that ball on a string. When he kicks, he can get you a 50-22. He can step in at fly half. He can certainly play that little pendulum thing, fly half, fullback, back and forth. Does very well with that. A very smart player. A little bit of a breakaway speed as well. And I tell you something, Life University was not that far off making the D1A final. Panter had a lot to do with that. Excellent player. A really good chance at a draft pick. Another player I think is multi-skilled. Another player who maybe the question about how difficult are the teams you're playing. Santi Thompson from Fordham. With Liguori and Thompson, they had just 2 great playmakers on that Fordham team. I don't know if they had all the pieces of the puzzle, but those were 2 pieces that were very good. And so, we got a question about whether there's a place for him. He's not a big guy, but boy, he can kick, boy, he can run, boy, he's elusive. Really great attacking fullback. And finally, Jamie Armstrong from the University of Ottawa, and I was very impressed with him at MLR Rising. His numbers off the fitness testing and the speed testing were very, very good. He's a tall, lanky guy who actually declares himself as a fly half. I didn't even put him in the fly half group because he's a fullback. I don't think there's any doubt that he's a fullback. You look at him and the way he handles himself. His counter-attacking is very, very good. His kicking on the run, his handling of kicking, decision-making, all through that aspect of play, are all outstanding. I thought he was very good. Now, he didn't get the start in the MLR Rising game. That's okay. But I would say that just about everything he did was very good. Kicking, but everybody's kicking was on that day. I didn't rate anyone's kicking very well. His running, I got him at five carries for 22, so 4.4. That's very good, actually, out of 5. A couple of good kick responses, some work in the rucks, tackling, open field, all of those things. I was impressed with him. So that's some of the players I've highlighted. I didn't mention other guys, like good players, things like that, but there are, as I said, a lot of wings and fullbacks there. I just want to thank our sponsors. Also wanted to thank Major League Rugby for just inviting me and having me embed and reside with the MLR Rising guys. It was just really fun. It was useful for me. It was great. It was very enjoyable. But I want to thank our sponsors again, and also those of you who support Goff Rugby Report. You can donate to Goff Rugby Report at the link below, and that would really help us with a number of the things that we do, including the sort of thing like being able to put these videos out free to access to everybody.